I think having that well-being policy is a really good foundation. I think we talk a lot of the time about having policies in place, don't we? And they often are documents that people forget where they're saved and aren't actually accessed. But I think a well-being policy in particular is one that has to be live, has to be written in understandable English, you know, not HR speak. No offense to HR people out there, but it has to be something that is easy to understand, because if someone is struggling, particularly if they're very much at the start of thinking something's not quite right, they need to be able to easily access tools and information, um, because you don't want to hinder any of that kind of process, I guess, of realize something's not quite right and wanting to get help. So a wellbeing policy is a really good thing to have in place to protect your franchisee and yourself, because this isn't an employee role. It is different. And so actually it sets out why is it important? So why is mental health and wellbeing important for you and for your franchisees? And then what is the black and white of where you will step in, what support is available? And it takes out that grey area, because grey area is a really challenging thing to have in any kind of mental health challenges. There is so much uncertainty already when it comes to poor mental health. You know, often a lack of certainty and thought distortion. So that catastrophizing, that is such a common thread within any mental health challenge, and so that's what we want to avoid. And a wellbeing policy actually takes away a lot of that, because it's there written in black and white. So I think that's one of the strongest things you can start with. And after that, in whatever format, it is about building knowledge. So whether that's self-awareness, not just navel gazing, but those tools that you were talking about then, actually, what makes me tick? Why do I think in that way? And what are then the patterns of behavior afterwards? And really importantly, how do you then manage that? Because exactly as you said, Graham, it's great building that foundation of awareness, but then how do you actually manage those challenges? So if you're someone that behaves this way in a certain challenge, that's great to know, but what are you then going to do about it? How do you manage it?
I think knowing yourself is one of the great challenges in life. I think I'm not much older than you, but slightly older than you, and I still think this is one of the things that I, I struggle with perhaps as much as anyone. So yeah, it's also acknowledging that.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's building that as part of the norm. Like, that's why I joined the franchise that I had before, because it was all about building emotional literacy in children, so that actually as adults we're not in that position where we don't know what a certain emotion is. We know it from that really young age, and that's so important, because one of the phrases I use fairly often is that you have to be able to name it to tame it. So in order to manage it and tame that particular uncomfortable emotion, or whatever it is, you have to be able to name it. You have to realize what it is so that you can deal with it.
Yeah. Graham, is there anything in your experience that people should consider?
I think really just what we've touched on already, I suppose, which is don't underestimate the power of coaching when it comes to these things as well. I think, you know, that level of self-awareness is definitely crucial in order to be able to build resilience and make sense of things. And I think, you know, the clarity that comes with that, and back to, you know, I'm obviously just a little bit older than both of you. In fact, I feel like if I had you ages together, that might be mine. But there we go. But the reality is, well, we are living in a drastically, you know, different world, aren't we? And you know, the all of the impacts of the things that we're talking about, including, you know, and I don't have a downer on social media, but social media has another role to play in all of this as well. And I think, it's so easy to be. I think, Jen, you said it earlier, to be, you know, to compare yourself to others. And yeah, so I think anything that you can do to raise your own self-awareness, recognize the kind of the common behaviors and beliefs, because that's the other thing. We're all coming at this with vastly different beliefs from whatever our own circumstances have helped us to develop, and some of those beliefs very often include self-limiting beliefs as well, which is another real challenge to be overcome when we are running a business. So.
Yeah, your self-limiting beliefs will become apparent. I think, I forget who said it, but being in business is the best way to grow because it shines the harshest mirror of truth onto yourself, and it's worth doing in that regard. But
Well, I mean, the other thing I'll just say on self-limiting beliefs, particularly doing what I've done with Franchology over the last 6 years, virtually every single person that I've had, a sufficiently in-depth conversation with, almost without exception, everybody, myself included, have and has had self-limiting beliefs, and it's. But of course, when you're not engaging with that kind of conversation as well, it's so easy to think that you're the only one that's having self-limiting beliefs.
Yeah.
So, but I guess places like her tribe, Jen, as well, will go somewhere to help actually provide, psychologically safe spaces for people to actually be open and
Yeah,
vulnerable about the challenges that we all face in life.
exactly that. Yeah, it's being able to have, like you said, Rob, before, it's actually being able to acknowledge those don't want to say flaws in yourselves, but patterns of behavior or patterns of thought process, and feeling safe and comfortable to be able to do so. I think that's why so many people choose a franchise network over going it alone, because they are part of something else. And so we have to use the strengths of a network, not allow people to get stuck in the potential negatives and challenges, because actually one of the things that came out massively in the survey is, even though people are a part of a network and a part of something, loneliness and isolation, particularly for franchisees and still franchisors, was a massive feature across the board. And so actually that's where we've got massive opportunity to do something new there, is make more of those strengths and opportunities that we have of having a collective group of people that are working towards the same thing.
it's completely different from for me, and for instance, being more of a freelancer, and my wife saying, "Okay, it's time to go out and see the real people, not just the people on Zoom."
Yeah.
Yeah.
And remember why you're doing something, right? Like, I think that's so important. The vast majority of franchisees and franchisors go into this because they want a better work-life balance. They want a bit more meaning in their life that isn't just being told what to do and a slave to your work. So actually it's remembering
The
that you're
route out
doing.
of corporate might be a strong
Yeah, and so I
area
think
initially.
from day one, as well as remember, as knowing all of those tools and techniques for mental health and building your well-being, it's actually about remembering to do that as a business function.